Hi, I'm Bobbi Pickard. I'm CEO of Trans in the City. I am a very proud patron of FLAG, Friends and Families of Lesbian and Gay People. I'm an ambassador for Mind Out, and I'm a golden champion for Stonewall Housing, diversity role model, and a proud supporter of Good Vibes in Swansea. Trans in the City was started in 2017, so it's our fifth anniversary that's just gone by. I formed it with some amazing other people because I saw that trans awareness wasn't being done in a collaborative way with different organisations. I believe the way to make things better for trans and non-binary people is to raise awareness in society through businesses. And I just saw that those businesses that had role models and budget and the means to do trans awareness were kind of competing against each other. And that's not what we need. What we need is everybody to work together, everybody to join together, stop reinventing the wheel, share what everybody does, and then we can really make some important strides. We can pool all of our resources and really make things better significantly for trans and non-binary people. So that's what we did. We're now in our fifth year. The first year we started with 5 companies. Second year we had 64, then we had 250, then 360. I think we're over 400 now. But last night we had 600 people turn up to our event just to share such a lot of trans joy, and it was such a beautiful thing to see. So everybody thinks Trans in the City is just the event. So we always run an event at the start of Trans Awareness Week to kick off Trans Awareness Week, to try and give trans people energy and empowerment and love, not just for Trans Awareness Week, but specifically for Trans Awareness Week. It's a really hard week for us because we're asked to do so much, and then we've got all of the emotions that are happening on Trans Day of Remembrance at the end of the week. So it's to give back to the trans community, our event, and it's really special. I know it's special to lots of people. It's absolutely special to me and my team. That's not anything like what all that we do. We run training courses, we do consultancy, we do panel events, we help charities, we do ad hoc advice, we share contacts, we put collaborations together to be able to have work done for different organisations to help trans and non-binary people. Going forward next year, we've got a whole load of different plans that will make us even bigger, but we do everything for free. I don't want trans and non-binary awareness to be dependent on an organisation's budget. So we're all volunteers, we all have day jobs as well, which means we work hugely hard, but we do get donations from other organisations that let us pay for expenses and pay for trainers and put on the event. But yeah, we do loads, and we've got massive plans for even bigger and better things to do. Going forward, the trans and non-binary sector, gender expansive sector, I'd like to see more collaboration. We've got lots of organisations collaborating. I think one of the weak points that we have in the LGBTQIA+ community as a whole is a lack of collaboration between LGBTQIA+ charities. I think we need to look at that. I know it's difficult because lots of the charities' contacts and what they do forms their funding streams. So we need to find a way around that so we can collaborate and really make a difference. Trans in the City's raised over £400,000 in the last 3 years for different LGBTQIA+ charities. So we're able to make a tiny difference, but nowhere near as big as, I'd love to be able to pay every single charity so we could all just work together, but it doesn't work like that. We really need to work with each other and stop competing. I really want to be able to empower individuals to be able to speak, to tell their truth, to give them the skills to be able to talk to big corporates, to give them the contacts to be able to go and do that, and the opportunities to go and do that. We're not here. Trans in the City is not, it's not trans Stonewall, you know. We already have a Stonewall, we don't need another one. The one that we've got is brilliant. Trans in the City is a collaboration, it's a movement, actually, more than anything, I guess. We're here to get everybody together, so everybody knows everybody, everybody supports everybody. We can all just move forward and make things better, you know, because when we are together, we have a louder voice. And when we bring our allies in, we have an enormous voice. And that's what we need to leverage and push forward, and not try and constrain it because we're worried about funding. And I know there's funding problems from lots of charities, but I want to see every single trans and non-binary person that wants to being amplified. I want to see the whole of society knowing the truth about trans and non-binary people. I want every single business in the UK so confident in supporting their trans and non-binary employees and customers and colleagues that we just create a huge, huge wave of positivity, which just makes any other view look stupid. And I think that's how we're going to change things. I think that's how we're going to make things different. That's what we need to do. The best way to support the trans community in Trans Awareness Week is to support them the whole year, you know, support them every single day. And there's lots of ways you can do that. First of all, appreciate that being trans and non-binary anywhere in the world is difficult, and it's really hard at the moment in the UK. It's incredibly hard in the UK with, you know, the print media running an average of 800 anti-trans stories a month. And in Pride Month, it was over 1,000, you know. It's hugely difficult. Understand the pressures that trans and non-binary people are under just to exist in the UK at the minute. And then imagine layering on top of that the pressure of being a role model, having to speak about yourself, and in lots of cases speak about things that are very traumatic. You know, just about every trans and non-binary person has gone through a time of trauma. Almost every trans and non-binary person carries damage from the journey that they've taken in our country and in our society. So remember that first and foremost, but do your own research. Don't just ask trans and non-binary people simple things that you can just go and find out yourself. Go and read the Transgender issue by Sean Fay. Go and look for trans inclusive voices on Google. Go and educate yourself a tiny bit, and then come back and ask your questions from an informed point of view. Amplify trans voices. You don't need a trans person to repeat and repeat and repeat and repeat and repeat in your organization. You can't speak for the experience of a trans person. You can't be a substitute and say, you know, me as a person that isn't trans feels this about being trans. You know, obviously you can't speak for anybody else's life experience, but what you can do is amplify what you've been told by a trans person about their experience. And that's a vital thing to do for an ally, because there's only, you know, 1, 2, perhaps 4% of the population that are trans or non-binary or gender non-conforming or gender expansive. If there's only 1% of us, there's 99% of people that are allies. So we can get 99 times the amplification of our voices if you just listen to us and then just amplify it. And that's what we need to do. We need to get allies speaking out positively. And, you know, don't think for a second that an ally talking about trans people is worthless. It's absolutely not. It's essential, because lots of times people that aren't trans will only listen to other people that aren't trans. People will only listen to people with the same life experience as them. So when they have a trans person speaking, sometimes they just disregard what the trans person's saying because they just don't understand the viewpoint, the starting point So it's so essential that allies really do that. So I guess the main points there are: appreciate the load, gain some education, shout it, please educate other people, amplify us and support us. Trans Awareness Week, to me, there's so many different levels to Trans Awareness Week for me. You know, it's first and foremost on just a completely practical level. It's one of the two absolutely manically busy times of my year. You know, Pride Month is hugely busy. Trans Awareness Week is massively busy. You know, I'm doing I think 11 events this week, as well as, you know, the huge Trans in the City gala I've done. And, you know, it spills over to either side as well. It's massively important because I think in general, it allows us to make trans people visible. And I guess, you know, why is that important? Well, you know, if you make something visible, if you make a diversity visible, then you raise awareness for it. When you raise awareness, then that gives you the opportunity to educate. And when you educate, that gives the opportunity for allyship and advocacy. So, you know, it's very important to have this week for trans and non-binary people to do that, to get more allies, to get more of their truth out there. From a personal level, it's important to get that truth out there, to be able to have a week where actually people and organizations open their ears and give you the opportunity to speak your truth. But it's hard, you know, it's the load on trans and non-binary people during Trans Awareness Week is huge. You know, the demands from people that don't know, and in some cases they really are demands. You know, tell me about this, tell me your life experience in 15 minutes, that sort of thing. You know, it's huge and it's really hard. And you know, after a year when it's been so hard anyway, and we're almost constantly asked to explain our existence, explain about us, tell our truth in either good ways or bad ways, and we're constantly attacked and vilified, then it's incredibly hard. It's incredibly emotionally draining. And, you know, we get to this time of year and most trans and non-binary people are absolutely exhausted. So it's incredibly hard. I always have trouble talking about Trans Day of Remembrance. And that's at the end of this week. You know, Trans Awareness Week ends with Trans Day of Remembrance. And that's the time that we remember those people that haven't made it through. And I didn't think I'd make it through. And there's been so many people that I've known now that haven't. It's a hard day. And a hard week. I'll never stop. I won't stop because I know it's not going to be fixed in my lifetime. And I don't actually care if it's fixed. I just want to make such a foundation that it just means that young trans kids don't have to wade through the mire that we're wading through. They have a platform that they can take it further and further. And, you know, maybe in my grandkids' lifetimes, it'll be sorted. And that'd be brilliant. That's all I think. That's all I want, really. So yesterday was Trans in the City's conference day and gala in the evening. We had I had a CEO's breakfast with 25 global organisations to talk about trans and non-binary awareness, and they are all incredibly positive and want to fix it. We had a conference day where we had loads and loads of stands free to the public, and that was massively positive. But the gala evening was something really special. I said when I started Trans in the City, I did the first event 5 years ago. I stood across the road from the East Winter Garden where we did it yesterday. For those that don't know, the East Winter Garden is the biggest venue in certainly Canary Wharf, probably the east of London. It's probably one of the biggest venues anywhere on that side of London. So, you know, the next step up is kind of like Wembley Arena and stuff like that. So yeah, I stood opposite it 5 years ago, coming out of an event where we held it with 100 people and said, one day we're going to be doing it there in the East Winter Garden. And last night we did. And we had 600 trans and non-binary people and allies. We had about 400 trans and non-binary people from everywhere, not just business. And obviously, Trans in the City is a business organisation, a business collaboration. But we paid for, I don't know how many we paid, but we paid for loads of trans and non-binary people that were working in charities or unemployed or unable to work to come and join us as well. We paid their travel and we got the hotels. And yeah, so we had just the best mix of people, just the most inspirational people that you can imagine in the room. And like when you get huge amounts of trans and non-binary people together, then you just get the best vibe in the world, because we know we're 100% safe. We know we're talking to people that get it. We don't have to explain. When there's a majority of us, then we just get it, and there's just such acceptance and such love and such a buzz, such energy. It was amazing. I stood on the stage looking out across this huge sea of faces, like different people, different hair colors, different diversities. It was just amazing, and every single one was just full of joy and full of happiness, full of empowerment, full of energy. It was just something that was so special. We had the most amazing speakers. We had Skye Morden, who works for the West Midlands Police, who's one of my friends and an astounding speaker. We had Emily Hamilton, who is co-chair of Queen's Pride, and what an inspirational woman. We had Eva Echo and Ros Kavanagh, who was there right at the start of our sort of movement with the Gay Liberation Front in the 1970s, the early 1970s. We had Emily Waldron, like I think she's 12 or 14, young trans role model. We had awards, we had trans band, we had training courses in the day, we had everything. But the most important thing we had was loads and loads of trans positivity. And I think, loads of people came to the gala feeling worn out and worn down, and went away feeling loved and empowered. And I'm going to cry again now. That's what we're here to do. That's what Trans in the City is here to do. We're here to change people's views in business and society by telling our truth. But we're not here to do it for me or Trans in the City or self-promotion or anything like that. We do it for trans and non-binary people, and that's it. That's the only reason we're doing it. I think was it Posey Parker said that she didn't believe in anything altruistic. Well, then just look at Trans in the City, because that's what me and all my directors and all my volunteers and all my advisors are. We're not doing it for us. We're not doing it for money. We're not doing it for anything other than trans and non-binary people, and making those people that are having a tough time feel good about themselves, because they bloody well deserve it. So 13th of November 2023, come and join us. We were talking about Wembley Arena next year. We'll see. We might do it in the Winter Garden again. Either way, we'll see. But we'll see you next year.